Lizzie. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Lizzie's Answers. This is a video about bipolar disorder, but it also applies to anyone who has depression, schizophrenia, or schizoaffective disorder. And also, if you're just trying to become more intelligent, to increase your processing speed, improve your memory, then these tips will probably help you as well. And disclaimer, I'm not saying that people with mental illness are less intelligent than other people, absolutely not. But the effects of an episode on your brain cause brain damage, which by definition, objectively, I know this sounds bad, but it decreases your intelligence. Because things like processing speed are actually how neuroscientists define intelligence. And it's actually very emotionally validating for me. When I was diagnosed with bipolar, I read a book on neuroscience, and the way it defined intelligence actually was extremely emotionally validating because I realized that my symptoms of depression, and even when I got out of my major depressive episode, I still felt very mentally debilitated. It was hard for me to think of words to say. It was hard for me to write. It was difficult for me to figure out film angles. It was hard for me to even remember how to cook. If you don't have bipolar disorder, this will sound so silly and bizarre, but the tiniest life challenges I just forgot and I couldn't do. And so reading this book talking about the definition of intelligence, I realized that the reason I had been failing classes, the reason it was still so hard for me to read books and to understand intellectual things was because my intelligence was decreased because of brain damage that happened in depression. When you are in depression, one particular part of your brain that shrinks is in the very back of your brain, right here, and it is called the hippocampus, and it is in charge of remembering things, of converting short-term memories into long-term memories, which is why looking back on years of my life, and even now, I have so much memory loss from when I was in a depression episode and from when I'm manic, especially times when I've been extremely manic. I have absolutely no memory of the time. So especially when you've spent months and months and months within a depression episode, within a manic episode, it does harm your brain. And so any of you who have lived through this understand what I mean and have experienced feeling like your intelligence is decreased. And it's because your brain has literally shrunk when you were in that mental health episode. And so here are 7 ways to regrow your brain and increase your intelligence after it has been damaged from your mental illness. Before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button next to the subscribe button so that you get notifications every time I upload a new video, every time that I live stream, and every time I premiere a video so that we can live chat together. Also, I'm so excited to announce that I have created a merch store. Finally! It's been 10 years of YouTube and this is my first ever merch that I've put out. So far, I have mugs that have St. Peter, and for Lent, I'm giving up the Protestant Reformation with the Vatican flag. I have t-shirts with St. Peter, 2 different designs, and then my Lent t-shirt as well for Catholic converts right now. Also, I have stickers that have my face on them, a bag that has my face on it. People have actually been buying the things with my face on them. It's so funny. People are walking around with my face. Also, there are 2 phone cases with St. Peter on them. So it has only been 1 week since my merch store has created, so definitely I will be designing more and more merch in the future, but click the link in the video description and think about supporting my channel by buying some of the gifts or gifting them to someone else in your life. Number 1 is learning languages. Yes, if you learn a foreign language, if you practice learning vocabulary, the grammar structure of a different language than what you speak, it grows your brain, creates so many new neurons, and it will undo the brain damage. Any way that your brain has shrunk in depression, it will grow your brain back. Isn't this so amazing that there are literally things you can do to reverse the horrible effects of mental illness? It's so rewarding and amazing and empowering. There's a smartphone app called Duolingo where you can practice learning a language. I'm currently learning Latin and Spanish on Duolingo. Also, my boyfriend, who's a PhD theology student, he knows so many religion languages like Hebrew, Syriac, Aramaic, of course Greek. So he's actually teaching me ancient Hebrew right now. We're doing dates where he's explaining the grammar structure to me, and I have little vocabulary flashcards, so I'm learning Hebrew. I just think it's so amazing to know the biblical languages, but part of the reason I wanted to learn as well is to grow so many new neurons, because even though I'm on medication right now, I've been in a manic episode the past couple years, like constantly, and my medicine blocks it, so it's not that bad. I don't even know how bad it would be if I wasn't on meds, but I can feel constantly that I'm in a manic-like state. And so I'm still constantly incurring slight brain damage, so I always have to be working to undo it. And even though my absolute worst depression episode was 4 years ago, I still feel like I have not fully recovered, and that my memory and my intellectualism and the way I'm able to understand concepts and ideas, it is not back to how it was. Number 2 is reading. Just reading an intellectual book, reading philosophy or history or Christianity, doing theology, church history, reading the saints, church father writings. If you're interested in something totally different, like biographies or psychology, anything that is of an intellectual subject and that is difficult to read and forces you to think and think. It's not just like a really easy fiction book that you can fly through reading, but pick something that's of an intellectual subject, and spending like an hour or 2 hours every day and just reading will regrow your brain and form those connections. And I know for me, it's been so frustrating reading, because even now my memory is pretty bad, but when I first got out of depression in 2016 and 2017, it would be so bad. I would read something and immediately forget, a week later forget. And so I'd be doing all this research, reading theology, and forget everything. So in that sense, it's really, really frustrating to be learning things and to immediately forget them. But I promise that if you read and read and read and keep reading and are consistent, over time, it will heal your brain and regrow and get you back to where you used to be at. Number 3, running. Doing any type of cardio, including cycling, an elliptical machine, even HIIT training, things like jump roping. If your heart is constantly, like you can feel your heart inside you beating really fast, you're sweating a lot, if you're doing any type of cardio, that will actually undo depression, brain damage, and grow your brain. And if you are in depression or in mania, or have bad anxiety, or if you have schizophrenia, any type of episode going on, any type of mental illness, if you do cardio, it will eliminate those symptoms for the day. Not completely, but it is so amazing, and long term, it really, really helps you with growing neurons. Number 4 is the Elevate app. So this is so amazing. One of my old roommates, not the roommates who kicked me out of the apartment, one of my other roommates told me about this app, and you can feel it working immediately. So it's different games, and when I say games, it's intellectual games like grammar, writing, reading comprehension, math. It's things that initially sound so boring and remind you of college or SAT prep or GRE prep, just things that you really don't want to do and don't want to think about, but I promise it's so fun. There are timers, reading comprehension, you can compete against other people, and so it's mini brain games that actually immediately improve your writing style and your communication. Like, you can feel it working. This is just to help you in your careers as well and how you communicate. But if you have to write for work, or if you're a student, it helps you be more condensed with how you're saying things, and it teaches you new vocabulary, which is the same reason that learning a new language really, really helps as well, and doing the math also helps. So I highly recommend getting the Elevate app and playing the games before you fall asleep every night, and it's literally so fun. And I know I'm such a nerd and I love intellectual things like this, but I promise, even if you're not as weird as I am and you like watching shows and Netflix and stuff like that, you will still have so much fun on the Elevate app. Number 5, so this one is so easy. Sleeping! Sleeping enough every night works to repair your brain. That's the entire purpose of sleeping. It's for the brain to go over all the memories for the day, remember what it needs to remember, refuel. Sleeping is for the brain. The rest is needed for your brain. And so when you sleep deprive yourself, which is part of the problem in mania, is you're not sleeping enough. In depression, you're sleeping, but you're not in that deep sleep, which is important for improving your brain functioning, which, if you're new to my channel, I've talked about this in so many videos through the years. But when your brain is in a major depressive episode, usually you're in deep sleep for 2/3 of the night and REM sleep for 1/3 of the night. So REM is when you're dreaming, but when you're in a major depressive episode, you're in REM for 2/3 of the night and you're in deep sleep for only 1/3 of the night. So that's why you're so exhausted and sleeping so much when you're in depression, because you're sleeping, but you have to sleep double the time to feel well rested and to actually be well rested. And so it's really important, even if you're not in an episode right now, to make sure to be getting at least 9 hours of sleep every single night. And I know some people only require 7 or 8, but I know I require 9, even 10. And I give myself that break and that ability to sleep in and to get that much sleep, even though it's more than a regular person, because I'm not a regular person. I have a chronic illness. I have a mental illness. I have bipolar disorder. And so I need more sleep than the average person is. And so do not skimp on sleep, but make sure that you're sleeping enough every single night. And I know for me, like currently I'm sleeping 11 or 12 or 13 hours a night. And I don't get upset at my brain when I do that, because maybe my brain right now really is working overtime because I'm a bit manic during the day and it needs that extra time to recoup and rest. And so don't get mad at yourself if you're oversleeping, if you have bipolar disorder or another mental illness. I think it's important to listen to your body, and sometimes you just need more rest than the average person. Number 6, having enough fat in your diet. So omega-3s are so important for brain growth. You can actually get omega-3 fatty acid supplements and take the supplements. There are even vegan ones, but the omega-3, sometimes they're fish oil supplements and they kind of taste gross. Like before I was vegan, I took them a while. My psychiatrist recommended me to. So you can take the one that smells and tastes like fish. I mean, it is a pill that you swallow. Or you can get the vegan version of omega-3, and it is really, really important for brain growth. But you can also just eat a really healthy diet and get enough fat in your diet. It's really important to have this ratio of fats. 2/3 to 3/4 of your diet needs to be omega-3, and 1/4 to 1/3 of your diet needs to be omega-6. So omega-3s tend to be in olive oil, canola oil, fish, avocado, chia seeds, flax seeds, almond butter, peanut butter, any type of nut or seed, pecans, walnuts, kidney beans, kale. There are so many vegan sources of omega-3, but if you do eat meat, I recommend eating more fish than chicken or beef, and trying to be more vegan in how you eat, because if you do eat vegan and get a lot of fats through a vegan plant-based diet, that plant-based diet is going to automatically have the perfect balance of omega-3 and omega-6. But just Google omega-3s and figure out which foods you need to eat. But also, if you are currently recovering from a really bad depression episode, or if you're just really, really concerned about your brain health, making this video is actually, I might go and get omega-3 supplements now. But it's really, really awesome to add on omega-3 supplements as a balance to make sure you're getting enough nutrients in your diet. And number 7 is stay on meds. It is so important to stay on your medication. There are some bipolar meds that actually repair and grow your brain as part of how the medicine works. But most importantly, staying on your medication is the #1 way to avoid relapse and avoid going into other episodes. And so if you can prevent yourself from being in an 8-month-long major depressive episode, or being in a manic episode for 2 months and barely getting any sleep, if you can prevent yourself from being in those episodes by staying on meds, that will prevent you from getting brain damage in the first place and prevent the problem from getting even worse and worse and worse. So those are the top 7 ways to repair your brain, increase your memory, up your processing speed, and to undo brain damage. Learning a new language, reading, cardio, Elevate app, eating enough omega-3s, and staying on meds, and sleeping. Make sure to check out my merch store. I'm going to link it below. There are so many designs of my St. Peter line where there are mugs, t-shirts, stickers, phone cases, and then in the Lent Launch line, there are for Lent, I'm giving up the Protestant Reformation, which has the Vatican flag on the back side of the mugs and t-shirts. And then there are stickers, and there's also the bag with this quote. This is like my favorite quote that I say all the time, and then my picture is on the other side. So definitely click the link in the video description, check out my merch. You are supporting my channel so much by purchasing my merch. Also, make sure to be following me on my Instagram and Twitter. I love talking to you guys every day, and I reply to so many DMs, and I love talking to you guys one-on-one. Also, make sure you are subscribed to my channel, and on Notification Squad, click the bell. I love when you guys are in Notification Squad and are able to join my live streams and be in my video premieres. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!